Welcome to Grounding Ascension, where we explore the process of activating and integrating our I Am presence. I am your host, Celeste Glus. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Grounding Ascension. And we are continuing the series on the Divine Feminine today, talking about activating womb wisdom. So we're going to be looking at what happens when a woman has activated her womb wisdom. What does that even mean? What does it look like? And I'm going to be sharing with you some tools as usual to help you ground this process, right? Because knowing and understanding that we need to apply things to ground all the information we take in, right? I feel like we live in the information world and information age, and we take in so much knowledge, and yet it's hard sometimes to apply it all. So the whole purpose of this podcast, as you know, is to give you practical tools to help you make this stuff real. So you don't just hear me blab about my experiences. They actually become real in your experience of this beautiful life that we share as humans. So let's get straight into it. What happens when a woman has activated her womb wisdom? Well, what happens is that miracles and synchronicities become a norm, quite literally. I mean, you're not really surprised or taken back by synchronistic moments or things out of nowhere kind of working out for you. And let me erase that kind of. Definitely beyond your wildest dreams working out for you. I mean, you literally surrender to the wisdom of the Divine Mother. She picks you up for the child that you are. I don't care how old you are. And she takes you under her wings. So you pretty much experience a lot of miracles and synchronicities and things magically working out for you in the most insane ways. I'm talking about like even our move to Hawaii, just big radical shifts in your life, just working out with a lot of ease and grace. You literally can live your life of your dreams without having to push for it. You don't have to hustle. You don't have to do this patriarchal thing and belief system of like, I have to grind and kill myself to live the life that I want. It's actually opposite. It's like the more I surrender and trust the womb wisdom and the Divine Mother, the more she shows me how simple things can be. And I still fight against this sometimes, believe it or not. I'm like, no, I have to do all these things. And I fill up my agenda and my schedule because I think that I have so much to get done, right? That masculine side of me is like way on overdrive. And then things come up to purposely hold me back. And all of a sudden things get done in 1 hour or 1 day, whereas I thought I needed a whole week to accomplish. So these are the things that happen when you activate womb wisdom. Another thing that I constantly talk about is that life literally becomes alive. She begins to speak to you. So you begin to have this constant conversation with her, which is quite magical. You feel tapped in and connected. You feel tuned into this unspoken mystery that is running through your blood and your bones. And this is a big, I guess you can say it's like one of those mysteries of the wisdom teachings where something is activated within you. It's like a certain frequency. And when it's activated, nobody can take that away from you. And it's something that's very intimate and very personal to every woman. But it never goes without saying that every woman experiences this when she begins to activate the womb wisdom within. You feel supported. That's a huge part of activating the wisdom within. You just feel held. Like I just said, you feel held by the mother. Your dreams and your actions and your efforts and your non-efforts are supported by something greater. So this sort of background stress of having to show up a certain way all of a sudden begins to disseminate. It just, maybe disseminate is not the word. It begins to just unravel and disappear, because that's very much a masculine, almost a distorted masculine trait, in the sense of you have to do this in order to get that. You have to be an A in order to get to B. Whereas the Divine Mother shows you, you can be in a numerological equation and you can still get to B, meaning you could be an apple and still become an orange. I mean, that's how miraculous her wisdom works. It's insane. You also actually honor and love your period. And if you have heard any of my episodes, you already know what I'm talking about. So I have a whole section on loving your period in my courses and in my mentorship, because it's truly a mentality shift that women experience and they have to undergo in order to activate the wisdom within. And this is what we're actually passing down to generations that are coming after us. And that's how we are activating the wisdom within these new generations of girls and women. So, what actually happens when womb wisdom is not activated? What does that look like? Well, what does it look like is women push, they force, they struggle, they ride the uphill battle of manifestation, which is very much a patriarchal societal structure that has been imprinted in our blood. I even find myself, like I just mentioned before, sometimes wanting to push against the flow, because sometimes the flow seems so good. It's like too good to be true, right? And that's the whole pleasure principle. It's like once you activate the womb wisdom within, you realize that life is supposed to be guided by pleasure. That's a massive key to the divine feminine. And the distorted patriarchal society has taught us to do everything that goes against that. So you struggle, you stress, you push, you hustle instead of align. And I think if you're listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm not going to ramble on about that any longer. But you know that it doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't. It can be easier. It's supposed to be easier if you actually allow yourself to trust, to surrender, to flow into something new. And that's all a part of activating womb wisdom. Trusting, surrendering, flowing, and becoming the new and the unknown. So, what is actually holding us back from activating womb wisdom? Well, there's a lot that is holding us back from activating this magical force within. First and foremost, I already mentioned it, our patriarchal society. Now, I'm not one of those people that would consider themselves like a person against the current structures necessarily, because there's not any fear or anger against it. But it's important to see it when we discuss the divine feminine and womb wisdom. We can't be blind to the fact that we have grown up in a very distorted patriarchal society, and that has infiltrated into our subconscious, into ourselves, into our way of being, and most intensely into our wombs. So we need to look at that. We need to look at how we grew up. Chances are, just like me, your mother did not receive this wisdom. And why? Well, it's pretty simple, ladies. This wisdom wasn't awakened on planet Earth at the time of our mothers. And maybe you were lucky enough that your mom was tapped in and tuned in and one of those women who did have womb wisdom. And so you are simply going way deeper into that.
But for most of us, our mothers simply didn't have access to this wisdom. And unfortunately, when we look back, they actually suffered and put up with so much. Now, let's be super clear about what we're going to talk about, right? This is not to say that women suffer and men had it easy at all. And this is why I don't consider myself someone who's a strong feminist, because it's not about masculine versus feminine, who's right and who's wrong. It's simply being able to see the truth on both sides. Okay, so when I talk about how women have suffered in the past, yes, both men and women have suffered tremendously. But right now, this topic is about activating womb wisdom. So I just want to neutralize the conversation before we go deep diving into the waters of the unknown. Because some of this stuff can definitely trigger, especially maybe men that listen to this. So I want you to know that I feel you, I see you, and the divine masculine conversations are definitely on my radar and coming. Okay, so going back into the effects of growing up in a patriarchal society, we need to be honest with ourselves, ladies, and we need to look at how our mothers were raised, how they raised us, and what their role was in our family as we were growing up, and even to this day, because we are quantumly connected to our parents. So we need to take a really good look at what the role of our mother was and what serves you about that role and what doesn't serve you about that role. What feels good to you, what doesn't feel good to you, what is not aligned and what is aligned. Because now is the time, my lady friends, now is the time to get really real and honest about how you want to take this womb wisdom forward. We have such a beautiful opportunity at this time when the human templates are being rewritten, the codes of Gaia, of Mother Earth, of nature, of the Divine Mother. They are coming in and being asked to be seen and rewritten and lived through us. So we have this opportunity and this responsibility to take a really good look at our ancestral lineages and say, what was happening, what was going on, and what am I still holding on to that no longer serves? Okay, that was a big one. The next thing that's holding us back from activating our womb wisdom is our shame and guilt around all things feminine. And this one is freaking massive. I mean, really, there's so much shame and guilt around all things feminine, and it's really deep, ladies. So even if you're empowered and you feel really good about yourself, I ask you to explore and get curious and get very honest about the following things. So one, first and foremost, I already spoke about it in the last episode, is our period, the menstrual cycle. Like, how do you feel about it? How do you honor it? How do you not honor it? Are you actually communicating with it? I know so many women who say they're tapped in and turned on and really connected to their period, but when their period comes, there's nothing they really do around it. They just rest. And don't get me wrong, resting is great, but there needs to be more of a sacred understanding and invitation for our period to discuss itself with us, to communicate itself with us. I mean, think about it. Our period is our best friend. And if your best friend was around, how would you act around them? You know, would you invite them to sit down and have a conversation, or would you just simply sit down in silence? And that's the difference. Like, how much are you actually honoring your period? Or are you just saying you are and just simply taking a day off or two and eating chocolate? Okay, so, and if you're curious to know more about that, simply go to the last episode and I talk all about tapping into the magic and the power of menstruation. The next thing that is holding us back from activating womb wisdom is the sexual force. And we have to slow down a little bit for this one, because We are really misinformed, my lady friends, and maybe there are some men listening. We have no idea, at least many women have no idea about what true sexuality is. Like, it's not what you see on TV. It is definitely not what you will ever be transmitted through in porn. It is not what you have heard it is. We live in an inverted reality. And understand that our inverted reality, one of the biggest power pulls on that reality is the destruction of sexual energy. Because we as human beings are so driven by this force, it is such a powerful part of our essence, our ka body, the actual energetic part of our body that runs on sexual desire and pleasure, has been used against us, and we need to unravel that mystery. We need to get curious about it. We need to really dive deep into what that means and how it's actually inherited in our generations, in our ancestral lineages. So I ask you to get curious about this. I talk a lot about this in my mentorship. I think that it's something that needs to be held in a sacred space to explore and discuss, but really understand that sex is not supposed to look like what we have been taught. It's not even what it is that we have been taught. We are so cut off and disconnected from the magic and the power and the spiritual nature of life because we literally don't understand what sex actually is. So get curious about that, explore, and if you'd love to hear more, definitely reach out to me. I'm happy to talk more about that. Okay, the next one is the actual birthing process. My ladies who have had children or are expecting to have children, thank goodness for the revival of conscious birthing and so many midwives that are coming up all over the world. But we need more women to get on this path. We need to get the word out. Conscious birthing is where it's at, my lady friends. So if you are still reaching towards just really westernized ways of birthing children and going into hospitals and receiving all this drug and medication and all this extra stuff and fluff, I invite you to get curious about what conscious birthing can look like for you, what orgasmic birthing can look like for you, on rewriting the story of birthing children into this world. I am actually co-hosting an amazing and powerful workshop called the Amrita Workshop, which I'll talk a little bit towards the end of this episode. But I will be co-hosting that with a beautiful woman, Linda Hamilton, who is an expert on conscious birthing and is a midwife and truly understands the sexual force. So, yeah, be conscious and aware of the fact that birthing has been stripped away from women. Again, three of the most powerful things, which have been sex, birthing, and our periods, have all been stripped away from their true nature. And so this is what it takes to reclaim and activate our womb wisdom, to come back to the true teachings and the true modalities of these things, which are so much a part of the natural cycles of life. Whew, that was also a really big one. I am really liking this episode. Okay, the next one that is holding us back, my lady friends, this is huge, and I am with you on this one. Beauty. Our body shame, image issues, weight issues. Let's take a breath here, because this is big, and so many of us, we're not even aware of it. We are really not. I can tell you firsthand, I was a pageant girl. I was Miss Argentina for Fox Sports a few years ago, a long time ago, actually. It feels like a different life. And so when I talk about this, I get it. I get it. I know what it feels like to do a bazillion and one things in order to show up a certain way, in order to have a certain amount of attention, in order to have confidence from the external, which is actually lack of confidence. It is simply the hurt and insecure feminine. And when we have body shame, when we have weight issues, when we are worried about being beautiful, this is a huge blockage in activating womb wisdom, because the mother sees through the illusion, the Maya, the illusion of this reality. She sees right through it. And so when we are obsessed about the way we look and our bodies and how the patriarchal society has put a Barbie doll image of what our bodies and our faces and our hair and everything else is supposed to look like, and how we are obsessed with using filters on social media and all of these things, we are holding ourselves back from activating something so much deeper within us. So much deeper. I have found that the most beautiful women barely reach for these things. And I'm not saying that just because you reach for them, they're bad. They're a beautiful way to express and honor your femininity. So I'm not against them. But let's be honest and clear about why we're reaching to so many things that we need to put on ourselves, that we need to add on, that we need to layer on before we show up into the world. Why? Get curious. That's all I'm saying. It's not that you're not allowed to, but genuinely, I believe that subconsciously we are programmed to believe that we are unworthy and we are not good enough in our natural and pure states. And this needs to stop. We need to understand that beauty is inherent in every single one of us. That's actually the divine feminine. She is a holder of the aspect of beauty. So in order to activate the divine feminine codes within, you have to see the beauty within you. It's the only way that we are going to live this in our bones, and we are going to rise together, my beautiful women. Okay, the next one goes almost hand in hand with this last one of beauty and body shame, but it's aging and the aspect of time. Understand that the divine feminine, the divine mother, Ma, is the holder of time. The mother is the holder of memory, and memory is written through time. So when we are worried about time and aging and upholding a certain stature or a certain look through time, we are going against the very integral substance that is the Divine Mother. We are going against the very substance of the divine feminine within. So we need to start appreciating, honoring, and making a ritual of aging through time, and understanding that only time can bring us wisdom. Only time can reveal to us certain mysteries of the feminine. So when you see an elder woman, when you see a woman who holds this richness within, no matter her age, we have to honor that. And you will naturally be humbled by it. But to be held back or restrained because you think you're a certain age or time is getting the best of you, that is the ultimate trick. That is being stuck in the matrix. The matrix, the trickery of the mother of time, Ma, meaning mother and time, holder of the time. When you are held in the trickery of time, you're caught up in the old matrix. You're caught up in the Maya. It's when you realize that time is beautiful and wisdom is the effect of time that you all of a sudden unplug from the matrix and actually become a creatrix which is the whole point of activating womb wisdom. And that was some deep insight for you. That was a good bonus for you. Okay. So also the next few things that are holding us back from activating our womb wisdom, we simply need to look at and heal our jealousy. The jealousy between women, the jealousy between women and men, the jealousy that exists upon humanity. There is just unconscious jealousy rampant on our streets, and it's not our fault, but yet we need to take responsibility for it. You know, it's not our fault that we inherit these programs. It's not our fault that we grew up with them, but it is definitely our responsibility, especially if you're listening to this, to transmute them and to alchemize these parts of humanity. Another part that needs to be looked at and healed is the self-sabotage. And this is huge. This goes with the beauty and the body shame and the aging. The self-sabotage as women is massive. And so I invite you to get curious. Are you self-sabotaging yourself? And through what means? Is it through food? Is it through body image? Is it through social media? Is it through the way that you show up in the world? There are so many ways, and very inconspicuous, if that's a word. Sometimes I get my Spanish and English mixed up, but very subtle ways of really self-sabotaging. So I invite you to get curious with that and really be honest with yourself, because, sweetheart, you deserve the honesty. You deserve the utmost, highest reverence to your sacred temple. And activating your womb wisdom, this is a part of it. True, raw, genuine truth. So get curious. Okay, another thing to explore is memories and our ancient lineages. And I've spoken about this a little bit, but get curious about what in your memories, and when I say memories, I mean your current life, and ancient lineage, meaning your mother, your grandmother, lineages before you, what needs to be looked at? What needs to be healed? Is there sexual trauma? Is there body images? Is there uncomfortable or irresponsible or immature and unhealthy relationship dynamics? And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there is, because that's what we're here to clean up. And if there isn't, I invite you to get much more honest and much more truthful with the experience of your past lineages, because quite frankly, we haven't seen the truth of divine union on our planet. So if you genuinely believe that you have no ancient lineage to heal, I really invite you to get curious about what you're telling yourself. No judgment and no shame. Okay, and that was just a real word of truth to you, my lady friend, not to get caught up on, but just to be a sister in service to your true heart and your true womb. And, well, that wraps up the things that hold us back from activating our womb wisdom, for now at least. If you want to get more into that, you can definitely explore so many other resources that I created. So, what does womb wisdom look like when it's activated? And we spoke a little bit about this in the beginning, but I want to go deeper into actually activating the codes of womb wisdom. Now, what you're going to hear will sound simple in a sense. And if you know my work, you know that it's in the simplicity that the complexity begins. So most of these things, if not all, have been completely inverted in your reality and have been, for sure, completely misunderstood by the collective of our society. So I will do my best to transmit them in the short time that we have together, but understand that each one of them deserve a deep, dive exploration because we do not know them in their true face. So, what does womb wisdom look like when activated? What are the codes that are activated when we get deep into this work? By the way, they're not listed in any kind of hierarchical order. Okay, the first, true power. Power, and I'm actually looking at a book right now in front of me called Spiritual Power, has been highly misunderstood. Let's put it this way, we don't know what power is. We just don't. And if you think you know what power is, I invite you to reach out to me and we can have a genuine, true discussion and conversation around that. I would love to hear from you from my heart, genuinely. I really would, because power has been used as a play of dynamics, as a play of manipulation and distortion from the beginning of time. In written human history, let me be clear. So true power is, unless you are lucky enough to be part of the mystery schools or lucky enough to have studied with very on the DL teachers, power is unknown to humanity. So true power begins to activate within your substance, within your very being. And it is humbling, to say the least. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I do believe that most of these things deserve to be discussed and looked at in a sacred and closed space. So I'm not going to go too deep into these. But again, true power is very humbling. And somebody who carries true power won't actually say it. Okay. Next, you activate what is divine union. So walking the path of activating our womb wisdom, you will activate divine union in its true frequency. Again, something that's not seen in our collective society and the norm of humanity. And divine union can be seen in two ways. It can be activated, and actually is activated first and foremost within us, within ourselves. And this is what I talk about in Divine I Am. Being able to activate divine union within to then be able to experience it in the external. And then also understanding that sacred partnership is a platform for the ascended womb wisdom, for the activation of the Ka body. It is a path of the ascended rose, and one to be really taken for its true power. Understanding divine union and the power that is held within relationship is only now being unveiled to certain people and souls on this planet. And so it's really interesting and beautiful to see this being played out with so many beautiful souls around the world. Whether you are choosing to be in divine union with another person, or in divine union with yourself, or having children or not having children, ultimately it is a frequency that happens within first and foremost. Okay. Next, divine love. Activating the true frequency of love, which I talk about extensively in my work. The true frequency of love begins to get activated within your body, within your essence. And we begin to walk in love more often than not. And I'm hesitant to say these words because we don't know what true love is. We really don't. We use this word, we overuse it, we underuse it for its true meaning, but unfortunately in English, we don't have another word for love. So love has been stripped away from its true power, unfortunately. So even by me saying that word, it really doesn't even hold up a fraction of what true love is. But Walking the path of activating womb wisdom means that you begin to activate divine love within. And so our lives begin to transform into acts of service. Whether that service looks like conversation, whether it looks like a platform of a new relationship, a creation, a birthing of a child or a project, a ceremony, it could look like a million different things, and yet it is just one thing. It is divine love. So this path of activating divine love is so divine. It's so sacred, and there are very little words to describe what it could look like and feel like. But I open you up to that curiosity of, can love look like a different thing? Can it express itself through my life in a different way than from what I have learned it to be? The next thing that happens in your life when you activate womb wisdom is that you simply do not fear. You don't have doubt. You really begin to walk in faith. And a part of this seems, and when I was brainstorming this podcast, I was like, that's definitely a religion, Sele. You cannot say that. And I know, I get it. It sounds like a religion. Like, you don't doubt, you walk in faith, you surrender. But it's true. Believe me when I tell you that womb wisdom and activating womb wisdom, I genuinely believe that before written history, before there was a notion of religion, the wisdom of the Divine Mother simply ruled our existence. And I say that because I'm really powerfully connected to Lemuria, one of the ancient human civilizations on this planet, strongly related to the divine feminine, codes of human templates. And at that time, there was no such thing as religion. And I can tell you that current ancient cultures that are alive right now, like the Navajo, like the Tibetans, like the Aborigines of Australia, they will tell you the same thing. They will tell you that the wisdom of the Divine Mother rules their existence. There is no religion. It's a way of being. And this is what I have found to be true when you activate womb wisdom. Nobody tells you the way of being. Nobody gives you a book and tells you the rules. It happens from the inside out. And this actually activates and awakens the sacredness of life. The substance of magic and wisdom is awakened and restored every single time one of us activates the wisdom of the womb. Whew, that brings chills in my essence. And I say that in my essence because I feel it so deeply in my bones. It moves the cells in my bones because I know it's true. And that's part of my mission here on this planet, to be able to intertwine the ancient understanding of Lemuria into this modern day world and also weave it into the creation of the new earth. And we as women have a huge responsibility in doing that. I feel like crying right now because it's so true. And I hope that you can feel into that. I really do. Okay. I'm going to give you two more, and then we'll close up this episode. One is liberating our sexual force. You will begin to understand sex in a whole new way. And I already spoke about this, but you will genuinely liberate that sexual fire. And it will be beautiful, and it will look like nothing you have ever been told and seen before. You'll liberate the sexual force for its true frequency. This is huge because we as women and men have a responsibility to rewrite what sex actually means and looks like on this planet. And when we do that, when each one of us does that, we reclaim a part of our divine human essence, man or woman. Let that be known to every single beautiful soul that you come across that has the courage to look into this kind of work. Our sexual force is a key to creating this new earth and activating our womb wisdom. And so if you are into that and you are willing to explore that, definitely check out the Amrita workshop coming up in October with this beautiful woman, Linda Hamilton. All of the information is going to be on my webpage. And I'm so excited for this workshop. Amrita is the female orgasm. It is known as the nectar of the gods and has been known through ancient cultures. It is incredible how this stuff has been hidden from us. So if you're into really getting intimate and diving deep into the truth of sexuality and exploring practical ways of igniting the sexual force within your own body, definitely check out the Amrita workshop. So freaking stoked about that. Okay, and so the last one, I'm actually going to give you a huge tool that I have poured my heart into and continuously do as I revamp it over and over again. I've created a journal on activating your womb wisdom. And this journal, my lady friends, is packed with magical tools and guidance as to how to activate your womb wisdom. It helps you track not only your fertility, which we already know if you're following this podcast, how important it is to take fertility back into your own hands and understand that there are forms of natural birth control. And not only that, but understand that simply doing that actually activates a part of the divine feminine within you that has been lost through millennia. So aside from all of that powerful magic, you will begin to explore and activate the language of your womb, and you will start to awaken and activate your womb's wisdom through the journal that I've created. Because through this practice and through all of this time working with the divine feminine, I found myself having all of these journals and all of these different practices and taking track of all these things. And I was like, wouldn't it be nice to just have all of this in one place? And I looked and it didn't exist. And somebody was like, well, why don't you just do that? And I was like, well, aren't you a genius? Thank you for that. So I just needed that fire, and I've been creating, and stepping fully into the I am presence and pouring my heart into this journal, which I hope one day can inspire so many women around the world to track and activate their womb wisdom, to understand natural forms of birth control, and to really give back to the divine feminine on this planet. So if you are ready to explore and put all of this into a practical practice for you on a daily basis, definitely check out the journal on tracking your period and activating womb wisdom. And if you are not feeling like going so deep, then I simply invite you to go back into the previous episodes. Episode 3 is Divine Mother Awakening. Episode 5 is The Power of Menstruation, where I talk all about tips and tools and techniques on activating and awakening the womb wisdom within. Okay, so there's just so much more. I could keep this conversation going on forever, but I'm going to stop for now. And I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. I can't wait to hear from you. Let me know how you are engaging with this information, how it's integrating into your body, into your womb, how you are putting it to practice, and what you would like to hear from me in future episodes. And so until next time, I love you so much. And thank you for spending time with me. Mahalo. Mwah.